In this video I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on purpose, on nature, do we have a purpose, and on purposelessness. I'm still new to this, I'm still learning, I'm still finding out, but in short, I don't think that we have some kind of serious purpose that we need to fulfill. Serious in the sense when you go to the doctor and ask her, "Doctor, is this serious?" I don't think that we're born with some innate purpose, that if we don't find that purpose, our life will be shallow. I think that nature is purposeless. There is no purpose to nature. And we are not different from nature. We are not separate from nature. We are a part of nature, or this whole reality, whatever you want to call it, nature. So we are not separate from it. And nature, I think, and how I'm going to be explaining in this video, I think is purposeless. It's not going anywhere. As Kierkegaard once said, that life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. I also really like this quote from Alan Watts. He said that the meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and obvious and so simple, and yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. I completely agree with this, that the meaning of life is just to be alive. I mean, what other meaning could there be? I don't think that we have some kind of, that life has some kind of serious purpose that it needs to achieve. What's the purpose of a cloud? Clouds are so beautiful because they're not going anywhere. It's like everything, all the clouds and all the trees are just dancing around in this big, great dance. You see, the Chinese say that nature is purposeless. But when we hear that word, purposeless, it has a negative meaning attached to it. It means that it's a put down, it has no future. It's not going to bring us anything. But when they hear it, it's just great. For them, purposeless is amazing. It's the waves washing as the shore on and on, forever and ever, with no meaning at all. Does a tree have a purpose? Tell me, what's the purpose of a tree? If they were able to talk, and you would go up to a tree and ask them, "Why are you doing all this? What's your purpose?" He wouldn't know. Just like you don't know if I ask you, "Why are you pumping your blood? Why are you breathing?" There's no real purpose to it. But yeah, to stay alive, but why that? What's about staying alive? I do that. There is no real purpose to it. And you see, the other thing is that when you give someone a command that he has to do this, that thing becomes boring. You probably know this when you already planned that you're going to wash the dishes. And then your mom tells you to go wash the dishes, and suddenly you don't even want to do it anymore. The same thing is true with everything around us. If trees had to grow apples, if trees had to grow big apples, that was a purpose, they had to do that, they would stop doing it, because then it would become a burden, it would become boring. Just in the same way, if things, if plants, if birds, if trees had to go on living, if that was their thing, to go on living no matter what, that living would become a burden. It would become boring. Once something is a have to, once something is that you need to do that thing becomes agitating, that thing becomes a burden, it becomes boring. This is why nothing has to keep on going. If you force something to keep on going, it will just ruin everything. A tree's purpose is not to just go on living for as long as possible. How I see it is, it's just more like a dance. If you were to ask a tree why is it doing it, it probably wouldn't tell you anything else other than it's just fun. I like it, it's fun. Why else? It's not like a tree won't tell you, I just want to stay alive no matter what. That's why I grow all these big branches and everything. And also, as we said about clouds, clouds are beautiful because they have no purpose. Like, tell me this, where are the clouds going? They're not going anywhere. And that's the whole point. They don't have a purpose. They aren't going anywhere. They are just floating around, dancing with everything else. When Chinese say that nature is purposeless, it's a compliment. It's not, it doesn't have a negative meaning. It's similar to the Japanese word yugen, which doesn't really have a translation in the English language, but the meaning of it is similar to these sentences. The meaning of it is like watching wild geese fly and be hidden in the cloud, watching a ship vanish behind a distant island, wandering on and on in a forest with no thought of return. You probably had those moments too when you're just wandering in a forest. Maybe you have a stick, you're bumping it into things randomly. You don't have a destination to go to. You're just following wherever your feet are getting you at. And if you're honest, I mean, for me at least, those are the best times. When you're just wandering, exploring with no purpose. Just with a little stick. In those times, it's like, I am alive. Like, wow, I'm exploring, I'm going with no purpose, no particular destination. I'm just wandering. Or you could say that the only purpose of the wandering, of the exploring, is the wandering itself. I am just walking just to walk. I'm not walking to get somewhere, I'm walking just to walk. We also have this idea that we are separate from nature, that we are some kind of ego or self behind your eyes or between your ears, in this body that is coming in contact with the outside world through his senses. We think that we're this ego trapped in this bag of skin, and that is coming in contact with this alien outside world, this scary world that is completely separate from us. But I don't think it's that way. I don't think that we're separate from everything else around us. But we're just as part of nature as everything else is. Just as clouds are part of nature, or trees, or flowers. We are just, in the same way, a part of everything. Everything is so interconnected with each other. You can't just take out one piece from the whole and say that this is a whole separate thing. It's like taking out a drop from the ocean and a little drop of water and saying that this drop of water is not the ocean, it's completely different from it. It's like a wave coming up from the ocean and saying that, yeah, I'm not the ocean. I'm a wave, I'm not the ocean, I'm not water. When we have these sort of opposites or polarities, like me and not me, self and other, up and down, left and right, forward, backward, black and white, short, long. These things are completely inseparable from each other. This is why it's not true to say that you are a separate thing from this whole universe and you just exist there by yourself. You are completely inseparable from everything around you. There is no inside of you without an outside. There is no outside without an inside. And whenever you have these kind of polarities, I'm still trying to understand this, but whenever you have these kind of polarities, there is a underlying unity between them. Because they arise mutually. They exist inseparably from each other. You can't have a sense of self without a sense of something else that is not yourself. If all of this is hurting your head, don't worry. I also still don't understand what I'm saying 100%. But the point is that we're not separate from nature, and if we're not separate from nature, and nature is purposeless, then it's the same thing is true for our lives. Our lives are also purposeless. Now I'm going to read you a poem from a Zen master, and he wrote this poem just before he died. And he wrote that from the bathtub to the bathtub, I have uttered stuff and nonsense. From the bathtub, that when you're born and you're washed when you're a baby, to the bathtub when you're washed when you're dead, when they wash your dead body, I have uttered stuff and nonsense. Just how I am right now saying to you a bunch of stuff and nonsense words. Or just like the birds chirping around, going twee, twee. And then people go out and think, what is that all about? Like they do it because it's a mating call. They have those bright colors because they to attract other mates. People trying to find out what it's all about. It's engineering view of the universe. Well, they do that for self-protection. And why do all of that? Why do all of that mating call and everything? Well, they say that it's because they need to survive. Well, really, do they? Why do that? Why survive? What's that for? Birds don't think that I need to survive, so I better be chirping. Why do that? There's no purpose to it. I'm going to tell you a story that I heard from Alan Watts, which I think is just great and really funny. He said that humans and basically all creatures are just tubes. Tubes. Boom. And all tubes need to put one thing in at the end and let it go out on the other end. So we go on doing that. We're putting things in one end and letting them go out on the other end. And to do this even more efficiently, we developed this eating end called a head to eat the things and let them out. And we developed all kinds of things to make this tube even more efficient, to get things through them even better. We developed arms and legs and everything. But we found out that the more stuff goes through the tubes, the more the tube is going to wear out and become damaged and chipped. So we developed all sorts of complicated ways to create even more tubes. And then people say that and think that, well, that's terribly important. That's really serious. We gotta keep on doing that. This is a very nice story that I like. But basically, I think that life is playful. There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. It's not like some kind of journey with some serious destination at the end. It's purposeless. It's not going anywhere. You can think of it the same way as you think about music. Because what's the purpose of music? Is it going anywhere? The point of music is not to get to the end of the composition as fast as possible. If that was the case, the best players would be those who would get to the end the fastest. Music is just about playing music. Just in the same way as dancing. Dancing is purposeless. Or you could say that the point of dance is the dancing itself. Because when you're dancing, you're not going to a particular spot on the floor, and that's where you arrive at. You're not dancing to get there and then to get there. The whole point of the dance is the dance itself, this present moment. And it's exactly the same with life. The point of life is to just be alive. It doesn't have some kind of serious purpose, some destination to arrive at. Now, not in a hedonistic way, just partying all day. I don't think that's a good way to live. But I'm still thinking about this because when I feel like I have a sense of purpose, it feels good. But what I've also been thinking about is that we are just giving purpose to our lives to suit ourselves, to have something, to go forward, to not face this great unknowable mystery of this present moment. We are kind of clinging on to our purposes, and we're afraid to let go and to trust the unknowable, to trust the unknown. Maybe it's about completely letting go and trusting nature, God, trusting yourself, trusting the nature of everything around you. Because if there is a purpose to life, then there's no way that it's not in the present moment. If there is a purpose to life, it has to be right now. So I'm really interested. What do you think about all of these things? Do you think I just said a bunch of bullshit here? Please share it if you do think that. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Please share them in the comments. I really like reading your comments and what do you think about all of this. So you can freely leave a comment. I took a lot of ideas from a video from after school that they made a video about Alan Watts, a speech that he made about this nature being purposeless and everything. You can check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. So I hope that you like this video. Have a great day and goodbye.